Alright, it is 9:29 a.m. I will be here at the market open and everything like that, but I really don't know what exactly would I be interested in trading. LUSI, I can't trade this in theory. This could be a potential morning panic bounce play. CUBV, in theory, this thing could be a nice reversal, but I don't really see how I would be able to push myself to trade something like this. If we have a very clean morning panic bounce play on the other watch list, that will be nice, and I will consider that. That's really all I have for right now. I don't really have that many stocks to look at, and then the ones that I could in theory think about, they're not really working that well. I will be looking at listed stocks, but only for inverse head and shoulder. So yeah, the markets have opened. This is all I have for right now. Alright, it is 9:40 a.m. and I did do one trade. I feel a lot better because even though this one was not the best setup, it was still a setup for me to trade today. And that was here with PBYA. The drop wasn't that nice from 164 to this 108 level, and I just made back, I guess, yesterday's loss of $5. I got it back today. Sure, I could have made more on this setup, but my entry was at 936, which was the bottom candle, near the bottom candle, right beside the bottom candle. It was a level 2 reversal, and when I was in it, I was risking the day low. I got in at 15, which was right here. Right, I'm in at 15, and I was willing to risk, at 148 breaking, because if it's gonna break, it's clearly gonna be something else. Right, when I got in right here at 936, we did have 937. The next candle closed as a red candle. Volume is not really that strong. It's not the best setup. It didn't drop that much, and there was like a humongous. He's still there. Is this guy? A huge seller on the ask. He's been moving his price around, but it looks like the size is real, and it's been moving around. It was kind of choking the setup from really making a nice uptrend, although I did get to VWAP, which is 155. So after this red candle closed, following my strategy from last week, that if this thing has a red candle under VWAP, there's a chance it might top under VWAP. This one could actually do it, especially if that seller here gets taken out. But it looks like we got another one right there at 159. I don't know if that one is real or not, but it could continue the uptrend. But from my theory, a lot of these will top if it has a red candle under VWAP, and it might be the top of that red candle too. So when I got into this candle, I sold, when was it, 938. Yeah, and this candle at 152. It did close nicer. It closed at 154. If I sold at 155, that would have been I would have made it a whopping $11 instead of $5. But the thing is that I did trade a small position because I knew this thing wasn't exact. Volume isn't really there. The drop wasn't really that nice. There was a big seller on the ask too, but I took it anyway. This thing could do like a lower low setup perhaps, or maybe you can have a real morning panic. You can see now that it's near its low. It's down almost 7%. Ideally it should be down at least 10 for a better risk reward in terms of, is the setup going to work or not. So that's really the trade I have there. I was looking at KYNC because it was dropping cleanly, not cleanly, a little clean. It was a bit weird. But it had like zero volume. There was maybe 2 orders that went through, I think, here, that caused this spike. So it just wasn't really ideal. It was worse than PBYA. It had worse volume. So yeah, I'll make an update later, but that's really where I'm at. That's weird. I felt like it was already at 148 before. Yeah, there we go. Alright, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. So I'm happy to have traded this. It looks like there is a bunch of people on the ask, so maybe it's not really ideal. It could turn around though, so I don't mind if I miss the turnaround, because again, it's not really the best setup. Didn't really drop that nicely, but I was able to trade that, and I'll keep looking for more setups. Alright, it is 9:57, and SWRM is really trying to break 18. There were a lot of sellers on the ask, and there still is, but it's not as much as it used to be. This thing is trying really hard, but you know, this one might work, but I've been burned a bunch of times this week, Jay. Well, I guess just twice trying to go for breakouts. Let's see how this one can go. If I had to guess, it looks like it's gonna break out, but because I've been wrong like the last few times, I just don't want to really mess with it. It's at 184. Let's see if this one can keep running and do something nice. Sometimes it breaks an important level, but then people are just like, well, now what? And then it starts to head down, but let's see. I mean, 2 could be a resistance if it wants to go there. That's nice, it's at 184, but I mean, it took a lot of volume to break it. Let's see how it goes. 185 is at the ask. Out of curiosity, if I was in at I wasn't really looking at it at this price. I was interested in a dip towards VWAP, but it's not doing it. It's going for this breakout attempt. Out of curiosity, if this thing was at, well, with the tiny size, I'd be up just $4 right now if I were to sell right here at the bid, and my entry was at 180. It looks like it's doing it, but it's just not as well as I would like it to be. I guess for maybe a setup like this, I would sell as soon as we close a red candle, especially if we break, well, yeah, if we break under 182, but again, I'm not in this trade, and I wouldn't really be trading these because I feel like I'm not doing as well as I should be with these high day breakout setups. It could also just not be the right time for this kind of setup at this market. We got 20 seconds. If this thing closes red, even if it's above 1.8, I would probably sell it. And that's just me being extra not risky, extra picky on how I want it to move. Alright, yeah, closed red. I would probably be trying to sell. You know, I'd probably wait a little to see how the new candle is working. I'd probably be trying to maybe sell at 182 and just immediately get out, or 183, which was on the ask. But yeah, this guy can keep going, but I would have liked it if it was more like a classic OTC breakout where it just has consistent green candles. That's nice. It's at 185 by 187. But I would like this thing to just move a lot better. 187 is clearly something it needs to break now, but I'll make an update later to see what this one does. It's not a trade I'm taking, but it could be a nice breakout, you know. Alright, it is 1:02 p.m. and CYAP looks a lot like a lot of these other OTCs that have been running recently. I'll be honest, I took a nap. It's Friday, the last day of the week. My sleep is not really that good, and I was pretty scared that I was gonna miss something nice with SWRM, but it didn't actually do too much. I did see it get to the 20s here, which is impressive. That's the most it would have been, where, you know, I was still there, and I'll be honest, I was kind of ticked off, thinking, well, geez, what if I wake up and everything, I come back and it's like 28 or something? That would suck. But it actually didn't do that much. Now I think it was over here when I thought about, you know, in theory, if I was in this trade, I would have considered selling. I just would have liked it if it was a lot cleaner, but it did do what was here called a confirmed breakout, where it kind of breaks past this 18 level. It gets as high as 19.3, which is nice, and then when it drops here back to that support level at 18, even though it was a tiny wick there. This would have been a hard transition point, I think, to buy, where it just immediately closed at 18.3, and then here it opens at 18.3, a quick drop to 18. I guess that's when the buy is there and you risk 18 breaking perhaps. And then it went as high as 204, which would have been pretty nice. A lot of volatility, very big range. Sometimes there was a spread, but it's nothing too crazy, at least compared to the other ones. And it looks like it did it again. This would have been a lot sketchier, the buy. It never did a dip towards VWAP that I wanted as it was running up here. This was perhaps the closest. And it did make another move, but it wasn't as nice. And maybe because that momentum was no longer the same, that's why it broke VWAP here, downtrended. Now it's just kind of fading. So I think that was a good overall move. And it's very similar to the other one I just showed, CYAP. Oh, this one keeps going, and the volume is also very dry here. There was a move here with MTRT where it kind of broke the range, but I'm not able to trade this one. And I did check, I was able to trade SWRM, which is nice. You see I put a tiny sub penny order just to see if it goes through. Yeah, PBYA hasn't really done much. It did do like a triple bottom. You know, this one having less momentum as it didn't touch VWAP compared to here. Then this one got to VWAP, but it was, you know, the VWAP was at a lower level. Now it's just bouncing back and forth. CUBV also broke out of the range, very similar to, what was it, LUSI? No. It was very similar to, what was it, MTRT. You know, just broke out of the range, but this one has a lot less volume. That's really all I got for right now. I'm probably not going to trade anything else unless something just starts running randomly. Yeah, if that's not the case, then I'll probably go ahead and make an update later in the day, maybe after the markets have closed. Just one trade with PBYA, which is nice that I had a freaking trade, you know, and it wasn't even the best setup, but I'm glad that I had something to trade, even if it wasn't the best. Okay, it is 8:10 and I'm here to call it off. I had one trade with PBYA. It wasn't really that nice. It could have went a lot worse, to be honest, but my trade was basically right here. My entry was this candle, my sell was this candle. I sold because there was a red candle right there, and when there's a red candle that forms under VWAP, there's a good chance that it is going to top, and it did top. I could have maybe have sold at VWAP, but you know, my fear is that it's a red candle and then that is a top, right? And then it cracks 15, and I don't really want to get out for a loss. I'd rather sell for a profit, even though it kind of kept me from being able to sell for more. Normally when a morning panic bounce play really works, it just really makes a nice move. I don't have any older ones saved, but yeah, I'm happy that I had that chance. And in theory, sure, I could have traded maybe the double bottom. It wasn't that nice, but again, the volume faded. Hopefully next week can be a little better and I can be able to trade some of these. LUSI, I guess, could have been a panic right here, but I don't know. I really don't remember how it was anymore at that time period, but it looks like it was a sketchy turnaround. SWRM, wow. It went all the way back to 10. And that's not a huge surprise, because this is what it's done here. It's done that here. It's done that here, here, here. Kind of was a good short, honestly. Especially when it was failing the 20 level. Out of curiosity, was this thing even shortable? And how do I refresh this? I guess it's not going to tell me anymore because the markets have closed, but I wonder if it was shortable. You know, like maybe it was shortable. That would have been kind of nice. I will be looking forward to shorting in the future. My short selling account in theory should be available. in 3 weeks, and maybe if I save enough money or move a bunch of money around, no, I probably can't, but maybe, you know, if I'm able to in the future, well, it wouldn't be in 3 weeks, but in theory, I could try moving money around so I can have an account over 25,000, so I can go ahead and be able to trade long and short on margins, so I don't have to worry about stuff like that. But that's not the case. I won't have enough money really to be able to do that, at least, you know, before the 3 weeks are up, and I can be able to use my short selling account. CYAP was a runner here, and again, from my observation, you know, maybe I'm wrong, but a lot of these that do touch VWAP, they're not the kind that will break later in the afternoon. This one didn't really do it. Not the best long-term chart either, although it wasn't really a lot of volume. No, there definitely was some volume days, not as crazy as this. There probably wasn't a lot of bag holders. Let's just zoom in a little closer. It did have a few days where it was much more expensive, but I'll tell you what, this is a sketchy stock. It could be a lot worse. It didn't really do that well. You know, it downtrended. It could still do a day two, but anything with a wick like that is not very nice. CUBV did break out of this range, but the volume wasn't really there. I'm going to call it off, just a tiny trade, $5. Maybe I'll try trading larger position sizes. You know, because of the fact that I get in and out so quickly, I could try. But in this case, I guess in theory, I could have traded a larger size. I mean, it did have, yeah, it did have like, how many? It had like maybe 1 million shares, 500,000 shares. And I traded 20,000. Alright, now this is interesting. I need to really observe this. I bought in this candle right here. Right here. 600,000 shares were traded. And I traded 20,000, so I don't know, maybe I could have traded 80,000 easily. That would have been a $1,200 position. Yeah, it wasn't really that nice, but I'm very happy that there was still a morning panic bounce play that I was able to trade. That's all I got. I'm going to call it off here, just $5. Not many trades this week. At least I didn't do anything done with the listed stocks. Besides Ember's Head and Shoulders, I won't be interested in trading those anymore. Seems like I have a lot of things to learn to trade those, and yep, that's all I got for today. No trading on Monday, so the next one is going to be on Tuesday, and yeah, that's about it.